So this week has been absolutely loaded with coaching moves, and today we need to turn our attention back to the Alabama Crimson Tide in Tuscaloosa, where Nick Saban has brought in yet another coach that has NFL experience, this time Ken Whisenhunt, who will serve as special assistant to the coach. And while I was looking through Ken Whisenhunt's past experience, something stood out to me, something we have got to break down today. Before we can, as always, y'all know the drill, I have got to hear from you. Hop down to the comments, give me a Y for yes or an N for no. Are you excited that Alabama adds in Ken Whisenhunt? And let me know what you're thinking. If you're new to the channel, be sure to subscribe. Hit that bell notification as I do constant college football content. You don't want to miss any of it. If you enjoyed the content, be sure to like and comment down below. Those interactions are massive, and we're on a push to 20,000 subscribers. I'd love to have you a part of the community. But having said all that, let's jump right into this. And as I said in the intro, I think it's always a compelling factor whenever your institution is able to add in a coach that has NFL experience. All of these guys who are going to the likes of the Alabama Crimson Tide, their end goal is the NFL. And so whenever you're able to assimilate a coaching staff that features guys that have the ability to say, hey, I know what it takes to game plan on the NFL, I know what it takes to be successful, and even though I might not be an on-field coach, I can certainly help your journey to getting there. I think it's a compelling factor. And within the span of a week, Nick Saban and the Alabama Crimson Tide have not managed to only get one of those individuals. They have managed to get two. John McNulty, who we talked about not long ago, and now Ken Whisenhunt. And as I stated in the intro, whenever I was really going through Whisenhunt's past experience, something stood out to me, and I think this is a great place for us to really break down his experience coaching both in college football and in the NFL, and then we're going to talk about what really stood out to me and why I think it's big for the Alabama Crimson Tide going into the 2023 season. Well, to start off, Whisenhunt got his college coaching career started at Vanderbilt in 1995. He played tight end for Georgia Tech and eventually moved from Georgia Tech to the NFL, where he continued his career as a tight end, which, once again, not only is this an individual that can tell players, hey, I've coached at the next level, he can say, I've played at the next level, I've played at the collegiate level. I can relate to what you're going through. I do think that's a compelling factor, something I talk about all the time, but he did not stay in college long, because the next year he was with the Baltimore Ravens, and whenever he jumped to the NFL, he was with a few teams, but he served in several different capacities. From being special teams coach to tight ends coach to offensive coordinator, and then with the Arizona Cardinals and the Tennessee Titans, the head coach. So this isn't just someone who has NFL experience that Nick Saban was able to get in. This is someone who was the offensive coordinator of the Pittsburgh Steelers, who was the head coach of the Arizona Cardinals, and then the head coach of the Tennessee Titans. That's the individual Nick Saban gets to add in and have him work with this staff. That's why I think this hire right here got so much attention on social media, because it's not every day you're able to add in a former NFL head coach into your system. It's not even every day you're able to add in a former NFL offensive coordinator to be a special assistant to the coach role, but that's exactly what Nick Saban and the Crimson Tide were able to do. But when I was really diving into what he coached at each one of these locations, there was a common theme: tight ends and special teams. And the reason this stood out to me is the recent hire Alabama just made at offensive coordinator, being Tommy Rees. And whenever we break down what Notre Dame did on offense, they were creative, but they ran a lot through their tight ends. And one thing we've been wondering with the Alabama Crimson Tide once they hired Tommy Rees is, will we see an uptick in tight end production for Alabama? It would make sense. Even though Alabama lost their veteran tight end in Cameron Latou, that was one position they reached out in the transfer portal and added in a very talented individual, CJ DePire, in. On top of that, I think Alabama has got some phenomenal tight ends on roster that just weren't utilized. We got to see Amari Niblack in some game action, but I think if he's able to be utilized more in 2023, that guy's going to be a straight up mismatch that's going to give defenses problems. But he is not alone. You have Danny Lewis, you have Brown. The tight end room doesn't have experience, but I am excited to see what they're able to do. And the reason why this stood out to me is now you've hired Tommy Rees. You have McNulty, who worked with the tight ends and who worked with Tommy Rees at Notre Dame, and now you bring in Ken Whisenhunt, who can help game plan the offensive side of the football, and this is an individual that, besides serving as an offensive coordinator, has worked directly with tight ends. To me, there seems to be a theme, and like I've said before, one dot is meaningless. That doesn't mean anything, but whenever you have a bunch of dots, those dots start forming a line, and lines are impossible to ignore, and it looks like there's a pattern being formed. And if you've been paying attention, what that tells me is Alabama absolutely wants to increase the usage of tight end in 2023. Something I am absolutely down for. One thing, if you've been around the channel for any extended period of time, whether we're talking about Alabama, Oklahoma, it does not matter the team. Insert any team in the nation. If you're replacing a quarterback, Alabama's doing that. Not only are they replacing a quarterback, they're replacing a former Heisman Trophy winner in Bryce Young, who was sensational, but you're also replacing an offensive coordinator. In those situations, the new quarterbacks and the new offensive coordinator's best friend in the world can be great running back play and great tight end play. And when we break down this Tommy Rees offense, check. Those are the two things that while at Notre Dame, we can say with full confidence, that was humming. And I think that's exactly what we're about to see for the Alabama Crimson Tide. And then when we look at some of these supplementary hires, I think all indications are going in that direction, that the tight end is about to see an uptick in usage for the Crimson Tide. Now, can't wait to hear from all of you. Hop down to the comments, let me know what you're thinking about this. And don't forget, we have a live stream this evening, 5:30 Central Standard Time. Can't wait to see you there. It's going to be a ton of fun. That's it. See ya.